Hi folks, welcome back. Today's video was going to be a comparison between the P38 Walther design and Beretta's 92 design, talking about some of the similarities and differences in that heritage, that lineage of firearms, and how it's changed and improved over the years, and where that kind of comes from. But this is not a really high value production, so sometimes things don't go just according to plan. What happened is, as I was stripping down this Beretta 92 slide, which you saw in one of the previous videos, because I wanted to explain some of the inner workings, one of the things I wanted to talk about was that I consider the Beretta's design to be more robust than the more aged Walther design in the P38. And it's a little funny that I intended to say that, and I do intend to say that still, but when I took the Beretta apart, much to my surprise, because this handgun has been working just fine, the firing pin is actually broken off. Looks like it developed a stress fracture over time and snapped. As I said, it's been working, but it's just this portion of it here where the firing pin block actually goes through has snapped off. And you can see a little bit of battering here on this back piece. If I can shift my light a little bit. It's a little bit battered, but you can also see that where it cracked is kind of pounded smooth. So as a little cut in here, guys, you can actually see that at this 90-degree angle right here, that is where, if I can get my fingers out of the way, that is where that fracture actually started. Is line it up as best I can. Right there at that 90-degree corner. And there is evident wear on these edges where they've been bouncing around, moving back and forth in that firing pin channel for quite some time without affecting function, or at least without affecting firing. Pretty wild. Now, exactly how long it has been this way, I can't tell you. I have no idea. This handgun, I haven't shot it in a little while, but I don't generally have it out dry firing or anything. It kind of just sits in the safe. But as far as I know, it probably has been broken for some time and has just continued to work. So not ideal, because as far as I can tell, this might make it to where it's not necessarily drop safe. Maybe it would still be drop safe, because this is a spring-loaded firing pin. So maybe drop safe, maybe not. Certainly I'm going to replace it now that I'm aware that this is broken, but it was definitely a surprise to me. I didn't take this apart with the idea that anything was actually wrong with it. So we found a little problem here. I've got another one on the way. It should be in a few days, and we'll move on to the video I intended to make. But I thought that was just kind of a funny thing to share with you, that not everything always goes according to plan. But while I have it apart here, before I clean it up for the purposes of making that next video, I want to show you just how filthy this thing is inside. I've had this handgun for many, many years, and look at all the crud that is built up on that extractor. Just a bunch of junk in here. I mean, if I can, ugh, like, look at that. All sorts of garbage. And it still works fine, as I said. I mean, this has always been a very, very reliable handgun for me. Even with a broken firing pin, apparently, it's still working well. But I just thought it was interesting to see the guts on something like this that is just absolutely filthy, but still works fine. And of course, underneath the extractor is not a part that is typically serviced during, still getting chunks of nastiness out of it, but not typically something that's serviced during a field strip. So these often go really the entire lifetime of the extractor without being cleaned. Except for instances like this, where it just got a little wipe down, probably for the first time in its existence of 30 years and who knows how many rounds through it. This was a police trade-in, and then I've shot it extensively for many years now. So who knows what the round count is. I don't necessarily think this means the Beretta is a more fragile design than the P38, because this P38 has probably not been shot really all that much in its lifetime. Sure, it's decades and decades older than this Beretta is, but I'll probably do some quick math, probably 50 years older, but it probably hasn't been shot nearly as much. This Beretta I know has been shot a lot. So just an interesting thing to share with you. I thought that was kind of funny that while you're trying to demonstrate that something is more reliable and more dependable, more robust, you end up taking it apart and finding out it's actually broken. To its credit, still works, but kind of a coincidence there. So whenever that part comes in, I'll demonstrate kind of the differences here, and we'll get on with that video. But thanks for watching, checking in, and seeing my little blooper here. So see you next time.